This is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or girl.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Purpose and passion loading. It's my time.
Yep.
Just
What does that mean?
like
How you gonna get comfortable when I
that.
get over there?
Just like that, we back.
Really?
Happy Friday Eve, y'all.
Hey,
Y'all
thank you for inviting us over.
Y'all coordinated like that on purpose?
Are we
Or
coordinated?
y'all just in sync?
Are we in
Y'all
sync?
denim.
You too, though.
I mean, we all are.
Yeah, you got white.
That's what happened when you're on the same page.
You know what I'm
same,
saying?
Same frequency and all that good stuff. Happy Friday Eve, y'all. Welcome to the King's Cutting Board Podcast.
Why you trying? Yeah, you too close. When we on set, and we'll put your chair up because you look like a little
tonight is gonna be fun. Interesting.
Uncut,
unfiltered,
raw, unfiltered,
Whoa.
unpracticed.
Whoa.
Wait, we said it was unpracticed, Victor. Why you got a pen in the pad?
Because I jot down ideas while I'm inspired by brilliance. One of y'all is gonna say something that's gonna make me think about something.
Just do y'all
that I'm gonna write down.
Just do y'all regular little cute
Ladies and
introduction.
gentlemen.
I don't even know what we here for. What are we doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Ruffin.
Right.
And we are the Temptations. Happy Friday Eve, y'all. Like I said, we are the King's Cutting Board Podcast. That is what we are. What we are not. Coach, princess, executive producer, inquirer. What we are not is clickbait.
Facts.
What we are not is sensationalism. What we are not is hot air. What we are not is controversy for the sake of controversy. What we are not is calling something deep and meaningful. Well, it's really some BS, especially when it pertains to relationships. There's too much at stake.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have done is came together because we were tired of all the aforementioned stuff, especially the dialogue as it pertains to relationships between black men and black women. Got tired of the finger pointing. Women saying, "Don't take me to the Cheesecake
Factory."
Factory.
Women?
Wait.
Yep.
Really?
Oh, okay.
I'm about to
see,
share.
That's what we do. We already on the edge of our seat.
Absolutely, positively.
Let me
traumatized. Thank you.
Let me calm it down.
Men saying they don't like wigs or tired of BBLs.
Why you had to start with that though?
I mean, I'm just saying what brought us together.
Okay.
Right. And so we decided to do something about it, not just talk about it, but be about it while we talk about it. To cause each other, especially black men and black women, to lean in, love each other out loud. Gain greater understanding of each other, right? And to talk to each other far more than at each other. Again, all with the express purpose of elevating, accelerating, and advances love and relationships between black men and black women. I, ladies and gentlemen, go by Victor Vaughn. The lady to my right goes by
Coach Princess D. I'm the coach of the podcast.
That's crazy.
Facts. Fired as a coach.
Watch this. Do you still got that mic in front of your face?
No.
I positioned it over here so that, remember when I said turn it the opposite way? But no, go ahead and put it back where it was. You'll see when you look at
the gentleman. The gentleman to her right goes by.
Goes by.
Bruce Bailey Choir Boy.
So whenever we're in front of these mics,
put your seat up. Well, I'm gonna put mine down.
It's up.
I want to look small up there.
Ma'am. If anybody's ever been fired mid-podcast before, it's about to go down. Whenever we're in front of these microphones, how do we mean business even when we don't mean business?
We mean business.
We're always talking about something for an express purpose, right? And so tonight we decided the tagline was, is what you see what you get.
Well, it was what you see is what you get.
Question mark, though.
But why would it be a question mark? I thought it was what you see is what you get.
Because, right, it's to provoke thought and to ask, is what you see what you get? And I'll say,
jump to the end.
Well, it's all right though, right? But no, that's a good segue. And it's it's what you see. You did say uncut and unfiltered, didn't you?
I did.
Unrehearsed.
This
I'm
is
trying to
why.
say that.
This
Stay
is
right
why
there.
she's only here once a month.
Ooh.
Right here. This is why.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm gonna just go ahead and let you do your intro, and we're gonna get into that.
Well, the intro over.
Because
with,
talk
man.
about what you see is what you get. So what you mean by that comment you just made?
Nothing.
No, I need you to elaborate because it's gonna take
That's
me to
not
my
the
next
topic.
point.
Right.
That's not the
got it.
topic.
Can
See
you
how you try to start something?
explain?
No.
You said that's why you what?
I don't know.
You said that's why I'm only here. How often?
Once a month.
Right. So why am I only here once a month? I need you to
Because you be so
elaborate.
busy doing other stuff.
It's hard to fit
That
all
doesn't tie
hard to
into-
fit all your brilliance into
doesn't
1
tie-
hour.
It is.
We don't want to confine you.
So why when a woman get on the show, you want to pull back and not say how you
What are
feel?
you talking about?
Why does men really need a safe space?
Wait, what are we? Where are we going right
Can you
now?
just answer the question?
Why do men need a safe space?
Yeah, because like if I was not on the show, you would have answered the question. Why did you feel?
I
like you
probably
needed
I
to
wouldn't have answered the
modify
question
what
because
you
I wouldn't
said?
have said what I said if you weren't on the show.
Why is that? Why
Because
can't
you
be
weren't on the
comfortable enough
show.
to say what you would say if I wasn't on the show.
That's not. I'm trying to get us back to what we're.
Oh, I'm
actually,
going back to it if you would answer the question.
What's the question you would like to know?
What would you have said had I not been sitting here?
I don't know. I probably would have let Victor finish doing what he was doing.
He said he was finished already.
And you help segue us.
Yeah,
into,
because what you see is what you get, right? So when you talk about what you see is what you get,
Mhm.
you asked a question when you're starting the show. Is
Yes.
what you see what you get?
Right.
So when we talk about what a person actually observes,
Yeah.
right? For me, if he feels some type of way about that comment he just made while I'm sitting here saying, yeah, that's why you only out here every 2 weeks. Why couldn't he? Because when I asked him why did he say that, he said because of your brilliance, because you're so busy.
Yeah.
And I guess men want to modify what they really want to say for the sake of not hurting the female feelings. Am I correct?
Yes.
For the sake of the conversation. Not
Well,
going left.
it's less about hurting y'all feelings and more about saving our peace.
Saving your peace.
Yeah.
So would you consider you modifying what you had to say to me as not being your authentic self?
No, because that wasn't my perspective. I was literally trying to get back to where we were.
But you made
And
it
I didn't
sound
want to
big wrong.
divert off of where we were.
Okay.
and,
That's fair.
and joking.
Yeah, that too.
Okay. That's fair.
So I didn't know you was even going.
No, I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask a question. 'Cause
That's fine.
It's a real concern because sometimes, you all may feel a certain way, and instead of saying how you feel, the way you feel it,
Right.
you might modify.
No,
it
that's
slightly.
there's
mean-
no May.
Right. So I mean, if
real
you
life.
want, if that's the
Yeah,
that's
'cause
the
we
road
talk
we
about
going
what you see
down,
is what we get.
right? So if that's the road you're going down, then
Mm-hmm.
that's quite often the case, in my opinion,
Mhm.
with men,
Mhm.
because what will tend to happen is, we'll attempt to want to be open and honest,
Mhm.
and it's just like when a female would say, "Well, hey, listen, if you want to see somebody else, just be honest with me."
Ooh,
Yeah.
can you really say that?
And then as soon as you say it, all hell breaks.
believe
You
you.
know, so it's like,
But if you really say that you want to see another female, if that's how you really feel, you're giving her the opportunity to pick and choose if she want to allow you to see another female. Or
I mean, that's fine,
'Cause
but that
you're being
wasn't
honest,
right. But the point is, and the point that I believe you were attempting to make is, why is it important for men to have a safe space?
Well, I only asked that question because to me, after being a part of this show, I interpreted the safe space as you all being able to say what you always feel and have that safe, open space to do so and be your authentic selves. Is that not the case?
I'm trying to get where you're going because I think
Just stay right there with the question. You don't have to get to where I'm going. I'll take us there.
that's always what we're attempting to do.
Mhm.
The problem lies in repeated attempts to do so and not having what we
successful
anticipate as a successful result.
That's fair. So if your approach is to make an attempt to get a certain result,
Can we see who's
and
coming? That would
yeah,
be
if you
great.
look at your phone and you don't get that result, right? What does that mean at that point? Is
So
it something to continue or
So after, and Vic, you can jump in.
Yeah.
I know personally, after time and time again, it becomes a pattern and a cycle.
Mhm.
That's where you now have men who will go silent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
For their own peace sake, if you
Yeah.
will. You'll have men who will just avoid conflict.
Masters of that.
You know what I mean?
While
So
creating it.
exactly. You know what I mean? And that's what I've discovered is that's even more of an issue self and internally for men,
Mhm.
more so than women, because now it puts us in a place where we're attempting to be this one thing,
Right.
but ultimately it's hard to be that
Mhm.
when we keep getting the opposite
Yeah.
success point, if you will.
So when you talk about, go ahead.
It's all right. It's all right. So you unintentionally, intentionally, right?
I intentionally did what I just did,
Well,
but
provoke
unintentionally
thought.
because I didn't know he was going to say.
Nah,
so
right on.
Good point.
Right. And so even the, is what you see what you get, it really, when I bought it, saying like this is what I think we should talk about, especially our first full episode back. We back.
Woo!
Yeah,
I've been that.
all the conversations that we have on our podcast are reflective of the conversations that we have as friends and family.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So y'all get to
Sorry.
y'all get to hear 1 hour's worth of what we spend hours and hours and hours talking about. And so based on current experiences that all of us had, is what you see what you get. It really made me think about how the relationships that we see growing up, how they shape and mold us and how they show up today.
Yeah, I was going to get to that because that's always the root cause of why people respond as they do,
one way or the other.
And it's funny that this conversation should come up because I was just speaking to some close people of ours about something that we're dealing with or managing in this moment in our relationship, right? And it's funny because when you merge two people together, while you both probably merge with some commonalities or some joint passion that you share, like a lot of people say Bruce and I together was trauma bonding, right?
Right.
There are still a variety of factors that make you two so different.
No doubt about it.
And you always say we are shaped and molded by our experiences. Right. But when you meet somebody, first off, you don't know what you're really getting out of that ordeal, right? And oftentimes, especially women, we bring our representative to the table.
My God.
Right?
Whoa.
I said women because I can only speak for me.
That's breaking news. I don't
Listen,
I've never heard a woman admit that before.
Well, we have to because
I mean it's true.
So
I'm just saying I've never heard a woman say it.
It started you.
It started you. I heard women say it, my friends and I, we speak about it all the time, and we do that intentionally. We don't always want to be vulnerable around every guy.
No, I'm with you, right? So what typically when we have that discussion, what's said is something like, well, everybody shows up with their representative at first. What I'm saying is I've never heard the accountability or the admission that this is what is. It's far more thought of that. That's absolutely what dudes do.
Well,
right?
I do have something to say on the contrary, because while I've always showed up with my representative, with Bruce Bailey, I did not. I was always my authentic self. Bruce. So you always talk about how long did it take me before I showed you me without weave in my head or extensions? How long did it take me to use the bathroom with the door open?
Whoa.
Versus not.
Okay.
Sure.
Like when I say that,
don't do it, baby. Don't do it.
Talk about my authentic self. You always say you had no guardrails, right? And if there was anything that you interpreted or any perception you had of me that you built in your mind, it probably was self-induced. Like it probably wasn't something I represented, but it's something that you perceived and you thought. And then when I continued to be my authentic self, you probably was like, oh wow, oh my.
I'm gonna have to dissect that a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to
because we had these conversations before.
And I'm not saying
because you was like, you real comfortable.
So right, but even in comfortability, there's still
is that a word?
It is now.
Okay.
Yeah, my granddad was a bishop.
Creator.
Respect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dominion and authority.
Exactly.
The name, the thing, the thing.
Go ahead. I'm gonna put it in the dictionary.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Facts.
Yep.
So I think often, I don't think in really any cases, men or women actually come to the table in their authentic self.
Well, yeah.
Most times. Let me say that.
Are you talking about walls versus being authentic?
Well, you said representative. Like,
yeah,
if
I consider a representative as being somebody who, and honestly, if you look at the term, because now that we're talking it out, I don't know if you want to use the term representative, because representative is actually a mirror or somewhat
supposed to be yourself. Reflective.
Correct. It's reflective of yourself. So a representative is not anything fake, but people took that word out of context.
But we know what we mean when we say it.
So. Okay, so if we want to use the slang context of the word representative, I don't feel like I was ever a representative around you. I was me all the time, and I'm still her from day one. Yeah, digest that.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure it out.
For me, right, to that end, I want to meet your representative. If we're using it in that tone, as long as it's a representative and not an imposter.
So that's why we was talking about
you know what I mean?
Using that word out of context. Because a representative is a representative of who you are. A little polished, right?
No, I'm with you.
But that imposter?
Put your damn best forward.
So
if you just show up first day looking any kind of way, like
I can agree with that.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, I think when we talk about this representative, it's also attached to what we talked about on one of our other episodes, which is preferences.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of times the representative have these, you can't take me to Outback preferences. You follow what I'm saying? Right. And then when you get to know a person, you're like, hey, let's go to Outback and get some wings. You dig what I'm saying?
Like how often we at McDonald's.
Exactly. So that's what, So when I say representative, I'm talking about that. Like, he can't take me to this place on my first date. You're like, well, why?
Listen,
right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Listen, my baby is fancy.
Yeah.
But we'll absolutely genuinely be excited if I say, come on, let's go to the Cheesecake Factory. Because she has stuff there that she likes.
You say the Cheesecake Factory, like
Cheesecake Factory ain't no slouch.
No.
No slouch.
You can't say cheesecake.
No, when I saw that list, I was like,
we're grounded.
No slouch.
Listen. Let's keep it a buck for us. I'm a suspend humility, right? I'm looking what's on everybody's wrist at this table.
Really?
Listen, we're family. We're family talking to family, so we know our sensibilities.
That's crazy.
But it's about being balanced. Everybody, all of us, even on that same page.
Are we on YouTube too?
Yes.
Okay.
We on YouTube and Facebook, by the way. We want y'all to also like, share, comment. If you're here.
Thank you.
Like, share, comment.
Balancing us out.
Yeah, because you guys are so authentic. You're your authentic selves because you're not here for clickbait.
We are not.
Right. And while we're not here for clickbait, I'm going to just say publicly that I think you all should be sharing the knowledge, because both of you bring a wealth of experience, knowledge, understanding, compassion, and love to this podcast that the world need to hear about.
We keep it a buck. We're only halfway here for y'all.
Oh yeah, you want to tell the truth?
I mean,
they almost canceled on y'all tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Whoa,
but we did
because y'all were being compassionate about something Bruce and I are dealing with in this season of our life. And only about 45 minutes ago, I texted him. I said, we're going live tonight at 7:30, and if you all don't show up, I'm putting y'all.
Glad I woke up.
That's crazy.
Because my thing is, we got to be consistent. Let's just press through. That's what I say.
Can we? When we leave, when we done, can we go get something bite to eat?
You taking me out? I'm all for that.
McDonald's, that $5 special. I got you. Sweet.
Absolutely.
Super size.
Extra sweet and sour sauce.
That Indian food that you bought last week was so good. Y'all see how I did that? I didn't say, I don't want McDonald's. That Indian food tastes so good. Babe.
Maybe we'll meet in the middle.
And it was a healthier alternative.
Maybe we'll meet in the middle.
Indian food and Taco Bell kind of like the same thing.
But back on what you see is what you get. So let me just say this. While y'all on that topic, right? I just think about who you were when I met you, right? I didn't know anything. I didn't know who Bruce Bailey was. I promise you I didn't. The only thing I knew about Bruce Bailey is what I saw on social media.
Right.
And so that's a part we should talk about, right?
You got to frame.
Talk about your representative.
Pause, man, because you. No. You're not doing anything wrong. I got to have to frame this in the proper context.
Okay.
We have people in the audience that are friends, that are family and people.
Mm-hmm.
So like Bruce Bailey, that's not air quotes. Like Bruce Bailey is.
Wow, this is crazy.
I was gonna get to that. I was gonna get to that. Because I wanted to start out with my perspective of who Bruce Bailey was. Right.
This is crazy. Right
now. Now, granted, and I'm about to. I told this story before live, but I'm gonna say it again when we met. So I had this thing when I was single that when I add people to my page, especially men, it depends on what they look like. Let me just make that clear. But certain men, if their profile
representative this evening, huh? You keeping it all the way above.
Yeah, we said raw and uncut.
We did.
So I would look at their Facebook profiles, right? And if I saw that first page that was a little intriguing, that's why your profile pictures are important, right? If it was a little intriguing, I would click on it and I'm like, And then I'll scroll through every single picture I could for whatever moment of free time I had. And I would look to see, I wouldn't look at the pictures he posted, but versus the pictures that are tagged, if you can. And when I looked at Bruce's profile, most of his pictures, he was suited and booted, right? So I'm like trying to decipher what type of pictures these are. And I was like, he's some type of public speaker. And I also saw some church pictures. So I was like, oh, okay, he's a believer. So at that point, when I first looked at his profile, when I accepted him, I always do it. Each person I accept, I profile them in my mind based on the pictures I see, right? So when we talk about a representative or imposter, it wasn't Bruce's imposter, but rather the pictures he wanted to present for himself, right? Absolutely. So as a result, I'm thinking I know who this guy is. I'm like, all right, he cute. I like guys that suited and booted. Like I love suits. You know, I look like that corporate look. So he was already like thumbs up. Yeah. I never said anything to him, never approached him, blah, blah, blah. So I was out of town with a guy at the time, right? And it was a guy I already knew I was about to stop dealing with. But anyway, I'm working. Bruce inboxed me and said, wow, you went to Baloo. You got me about to mess up. And I'm like trying to play hard to get right. Although I'm like, yes. I said, yeah, why? He said, I'm just asking. What you say? You're a little feisty or something like that.
I see something. I can't even remember.
I forgot what it was, but I'm like, yeah, and so he said, I was just asking because I went to Baloo too. And I'm still like, okay, like those were some weak pickup lines, right? And he was just like, oh, all right. I said,
it wasn't 2 weeks. It wasn't 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
That wasn't what got me.
What's your last name now, man?
That wasn't man. But then he was like, I was like, well, I'm out of town right now. He said, oh, I apologize. Enjoy your trip. I said, no apology needed, but I hit you back when I get back. I never really intended on hitting him back, right? But a few things transpired over that trip. As soon as I touched down, I was just, because I was single at the time and I was probably looking for something to do. I'm laying back. And then I say, I'm about to hit this guy back up. And I never do that. When I say I don't respond to inbox messages, I'm like I hate social media when people, reach out on social media. But I inbox them back. I say, hey, what's up? I'm back. I said, so what you gonna do? How you gonna act? He said, what you did, what you did.
Is that what you did? That's what she actually said?
No. I did say
I was about to dap you. I'm like, God damn.
Oh, it was almost like that. But
that's the energy you see. Oh, this I know.
Oh,
yeah, that's why I didn't doubt it.
I was like, what's up? And I don't know how the conversation went from there. Yeah. But nevertheless, my point about saying all this is after we started dating for a few, after he met a few friends and family, everybody like, you don't know who this is? I'm like, no, that's Bruce Bailey. But I was more impressed with the suit image than I was with who people thought he was. But guess who really knew the real Bruce Bailey? It was me.
That's dope though.
Yeah, I didn't go after him or want to date him just because he was a go-go legend. I didn't know him as a go-go legend.
And to that point, especially at that particular time, I didn't know how to present a representative.
Yeah.
Oh, because he dated. I mean, he was married for so long.
Yeah, so
that's good, babe.
You know what I mean? Some people have mastered
facts
how to be representatives.
Facts.
Right.
I just didn't know. So
he was so sweet.
To your point, what you see is what you got. Yeah,
he was so innocent. I was like,
I'm still innocent.
I'm about to ruin his life.
You know what's crazy about that and dope all at the same time, right? So I can relate to what it is that you're saying, because after separation, after divorce, like I was really on the couch at home.
Really? Single on the couch?
No, for real.
How long was you married?
Almost.
Were you married?
15 years.
Oh, that's a long time. Okay.
It is a long time.
It's almost a lifetime.
That's a whole generation and a half.
It is.
Right? So, but here's what's crazy.
That's a decade.
When I would tell like my friends, like my boys, nah, I'm especially when I didn't have the girls with me, like, what you doing this weekend? Nothing.
And they'd be like, what? Like that.
They just knew I was in the crib swinging from the chandelier. You know, like, no, for real though.
You could be swinging a toolbox or something, not from the chandelier.
Nah, and I wasn't. So I said that's right. I'm
part of the King's Cut Board podcast.
I was about to say I'm not a legend. I am in my own mind. Like Bruce.
You better tell it. You better tell it.
But there's.
I did too. I pulled up that.
Sorry.
Nah, y'all. We said unfiltered.
Okay.
Y'all not gonna make me hungry though.
See, look, I don't mind going to my baby Popeyes for dinner.
Especially when a few people know you.
Right.
Generally speaking, they don't know you.
They don't.
So
he gotta tell you about my version. I wasn't Bruce Bailey, but I knew some of the same people he knew.
We know everybody in common.
But that's what I'm saying. But I wasn't like a go-go
sick of y'all. Legend. Everybody I know, y'all
I
know. Everybody y'all know, I know.
I don't
know what type of legend. I think I just lived here all of my life. That's how I know so many people. Like in the D, I never be.
But I mean, it's all predicated on the circles you run in too. True. You know what I'm saying? If you run in those circles, you're gonna see those people.
Yeah,
like it's gonna happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's inevitable.
But the overlap. How many times have I been somewhere?
I don't even remember Bruce Bailey, like seriously, and I probably been to see him sing before. I just don't remember.
But that's
probably because he was skinny, and I don't like skinny dudes.
Doesn't you skinny?
Don't mean I don't have to like skinny dudes.
What the Bible said, we see in pieces and parts.
True, but he thick now. Look at
pause.
Whoa,
Jesus Christ. But this goes back to the top of I think you had mentioned it. One of you guys had mentioned it. And I was just looking up some data. It says 68% of adults
doing this raw and uncut.
We are, but I still have
let them cook.
Yeah,
we're always gonna bring value.
68% of adults say their parents' relationship was the primary model for how they view romantic relationships today.
Can I say
68%? We
based on that statistic, but slightly off the topic.
Sure.
So when you say that, right? When I first saw those pictures of you, I didn't think about my dad. But now that we're in a relationship, look at how many commonalities you and my dad had.
That's because you're in your flesh.
You think?
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, you still? Yeah. It's just so ironic how he's just like my dad, like singing wise and the music. Like my dad had a singing group. When everybody saw him at my dad's funeral, they were like, "He looked like your dad."
Yeah, but it was like,
but it's no irony. Like we're not going to divert too much, but it's undeniable. Mm-hmm. No, we are.
Yeah.
But everything that we talk about is on top because it all comes back to foundation. Because what I was going to say is purpose, and there's no irony at all.
Oh,
I think it's amazing that you were attracted to him without knowing all the stuff that would have naturally attracted you to him.
Mm-hmm.
That's indicative of purpose. You know what I mean?
That's deep because I'm still thinking about how parallel purpose is to whatever your passion is or whatever your likes are. Because it's crazy how they say he's similar to my dad, but when you were talking, I thought about other countries how they have arranged marriages that last the longest. But typically, the person they pick, is like their father.
So. I don't want to say this. So what here's what it made me think about, right? When purpose is present. So I'll do it this way. If I was to go into a store today, let's just say so we got an event coming up that we're gonna do right back with Nikki. And let's just say I needed to go buy something to wear to this event. If I was to go into a store and they ask, she's like, so what are you looking for? My answer is always the same. I know it when I'll see it.
Wow.
I don't go in there saying I want a tan 3-button, 2-button. And
I'm probably the opposite.
And so
most females are the opposite.
I do.
Which is why it don't take us long to shop.
So, right? So even you, when we were friends at work, like people ask me like, what's your type? I don't have one. I know it. I know her when I see her.
So Bruce had me to realize something though. Because people, when they think about type, they thinking about like the same hair, the same skin tone, the same you know, like when you first see them, you can say, oh, I know his type. But he was explaining to me, like, sometimes men will have a type, but that doesn't necessarily mean they all look alike, if that makes sense. It's just the aura about a certain type of woman that you like. I forgot how you broke it down to me once, and I was like,
it depends.
That makes sense. Because there's still a certain, like, you could look at that person and they may not even be the same height, size, or color, but they're a certain type.
I absolutely know women who their type is light skin, tall, thin.
Right. But sometimes a type could be what's the word I'm looking for? What type of woman would you consider Cheryl as? Like Afrocentric. I mean, not really Afro, but she has a natural aura about her.
Absolutely.
And you might like females that are so natural and have an innocent look.
Ooh. So to your point, so when I say I know when I see it, right? So true story. So almost a year ago, we are at my niece's birthday party at Kids First Swim School. Now, I'd been digging her and into her for 2 years, like looking for this woman.
Cheryl, that is.
Yes, absolutely. And this particular day, I'm just going to my niece's party. And when we used to see each other, it would be at kids' functions because she's mutual friends with my sisters, right? But this particular day, because I hadn't seen her in like almost a year, I just went, just showed up, wasn't intentionally fly. Listen, be clear. I have a goddaughter. I went to her school plays and award ceremonies, decked, hoping that she was going to be there. She wasn't ever there. So anyway, we go to this event. Who comes walking through the room?
And you weren't ready,
right? Car wash. The theme music started playing. I want to get next.
That's crazy.
I was thinking about a different song.
And when I say instantly,
that's crazy.
And she'll tell you this story. She was just coming from work. Looked like she was just coming from work. And when my baby shows up, she shows up. You put the post about flirting, and when she shows up, she shows. That's how she came to Cambria, like in heels, and that's how she shows up. But she was literally coming from work, like she was coming from work, effortlessly beauty.
Right.
And I could only see her like from the neck up, walking across the room in slow motion.
Like it's all slow motion.
Oh no, I'm
taking this time.
But I did say,
like who's
I did say we know when we see it. And so I saw it in that moment what she had on.
You saw me?
What you mean?
Did you know, like, did you feel like that, like Victor felt when you saw me?
That wasn't the first time I saw her, though.
No, listen.
In fairness,
I mean, I will be lying if I said I did.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? Because at that juncture, I was like.
But you had fun. It was different. I'm speaking for you.
I mean, again. So again, at that juncture, it was different in the sense that I wasn't really. Like I wasn't in tune. Everything was just like, it was weird. I can't really explain it, but like I wasn't.
Were you just kind of
intentional?
Existing?
Yeah, it was just like I was just, you know what I'm saying?
I do know.
I wasn't really looking for nothing either, but
I'm saying
when I first saw him, I was like, oh yeah.
But I'm not saying I wasn't looking for anything, but like even the first time when we met because of all of what I was dealing with.
Yeah. It was cloud.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like, well, I thought you was attractive. I was like, wow, okay. I still had so much.
You weren't out here dating with a purpose. You weren't moving.
I wasn't moving with a purpose. I wasn't dating with a purpose.
I'm looking for my wife.
I got some funny stories about when we first.
When I met her, it wasn't even about dating.
Yeah.
Per se.
Yeah.
It was just something to do.
Yeah, I was like I said again, because emotionally.
I'm gonna tell you what's funny.
Okay.
No, go ahead. I just had to say, I got this to say when you finish.
Right.
Go ahead.
I just want you to make sure, because you be forgetting stuff. I want you to make sure you don't forget.
If you heard
Put a pen in that. That's why you're supposed to have a pen and paper.
So when I met her, I was certainly attracted to her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even from the standpoint, what really threw me, or what really I think made me lean in a little bit with her, because she called me right back.
Yeah.
When she landed.
Yeah.
I was like, I really was thinking, oh, I got her.
I really wasn't though. That's funny.
I really was thinking, I got her. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it wasn't like anything more than that.
Yeah.
because it was just so much going on, and you know kind of what I was dealing with at that time. It was so much that it was hard for me to focus on anything outside of that. If that makes sense.
Well, being honest, I don't think any of us was focused on relationships. But again, when I looked through your pictures, it was almost like, oh, okay, that's somebody that I would see myself dating. That's somebody I would see myself hanging out with. Like, I don't know why. I just always love corporate guys. And while we are in corporate America, I just felt like I was the opposite to that, if that makes sense. Because I would always be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have fun with this dude. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I just like those guys, and I just like being my authentic self because it just seems like a good mixture. But what I would say is what's funny is the day I took, the first day I met him, I was training you when you first started the company. Oh, wow. And on the lunch break, he was like, you hungry? I was like, yeah. And I might have gave y'all an extended lunch on this particular day, right? And he was like, meet me at Chicken and Waffles. And I'm like, meet you at Chicken and Waffles. But it was it was something quick. That was the first time we saw each other in person. And he probably threw on something. I threw on something. I think I had some jeans.
I definitely threw on St. Barnabas Road.
St. Barnabas Road. He didn't know how tall I was, right? And I pulled up in my BMW at the time, which was small. It was a little car. So when I pulled up and got out the car, he was like, oh, you tall.
Definitely.
I was like, yep. And he was like, oh, all right.
Definitely.
What were you thinking when I was tall, though?
So again, I thought tall. I was like, damn, okay.
Right. And not to mention, when we say what you see is what you get, this is what I mean. I had no guardrails. I met you at Chicken and Waffles, which I usually don't do because you know
I salute you for even.
Listen, women be having to check off list.
For you saying and you
I used to be like, my first date is not gonna meet a guy at the corner. Like, I hate when guys be like, hey, what's up? Can you meet me on such and such street? Like, what, we gonna stand outside?
Well, no. but also, so while she typically wouldn't do it, it wasn't like a gesture to go date. It was just like, hey, you hungry?
Yeah.
Don't go ahead up here.
That was cute.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Come meet me up here. You know what I mean? The fact that she did it, I was like, okay. Right. Especially because again, I'm just.
And I ate in his car. That's what I'm really.
Yeah, we sat in the car. We sat in the car and ate.
I crushed my food right there. Chicken waffles, eat with my hands, wrapping the chicken up with the waffles.
But again, that's what like, so it go back to what I'm saying, because I was so drastically dramatized by some of the other stuff that I was dealing with.
Well, when I say it was different though, I took your mind off of all that. It wasn't weighty. Like when we met, to me.
No, it was real easy. It wasn't nothing to it. Like, nah, if that's what you're saying.
What I'm saying is when we met, right? To me, it was almost like it contradicted whatever else I was dealing with. Like when we met, it wasn't a heavy thing. It was an easy lift.
Oh, for sure.
Like we did stuff like I didn't make him take me to expensive restaurants. While we did date at some nice restaurants, I also treated. You know what I mean? So I would take him on dates. He would take me on dates. One of my first dates, I took
reciprocation is very sexy.
It is. And I knew I was making deposits. So that's probably why he frowned his face when he thought about representing, because I'm acting like I got money at that time, right? But I knew the importance of fact that you making deposits. Like I took him on a trip to Arizona, which was different. I wanted to do something different. I'm always daring to be different. I don't want to be cliches, be like, oh, you want to go to this restaurant? I'm looking, what can I do? He never been to a UFC fight. So I said, bet. I never been to Arizona.
Hands down, one of my best birthdays.
Absolutely. I bought him a pair of what were they back then? Bought you a pair of shoes. They were them black and gold shoes.
Giuseppe's.
Okay. I bought him a pair of Giuseppe's and a pair of red bottoms and took him to Arizona.
Did I say
and paid for the UFC fight?
Reciprocation is very sexy.
The tickets were like almost down on the floor. So he like, man, she got money. I was like, good. So and I ain't really had that much when we got married. Now I'm messing. But nevertheless, I did make deposits, right? But one of our first dates, I didn't spend no money on it. I put 2 lawn chairs in the trunk.
Love it.
Right?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I didn't even want him to pick me up from my house at the time because we were just dating. I don't like when people know where I live.
You picked me up, actually.
At the 7-Eleven, remember?
No, you picked me up at my mom's house.
Oh, no. We met at the 7-Eleven. You might have told me you ain't want to keep your car at 7-Eleven, so park at your mom's house. And that's what we did. And you got in the car. He was like, where we going? I was like, don't worry about it. I had a little wine bottle. And we got down there.
Definitely wasn't keep my car in 7-Eleven.
We went to the Martin Luther King statue, where the Frederick Douglass Memorial and all that is. You know that's open at night, right? Yeah. like legally, like they won't make you move. Took the lawn.
I don't know what with those bottles though, but I'm just saying.
They ain't say nothing. Security rode right past us.
Right on.
And the lighting is so perfect. You overlooking the water. We took the chairs down. We got to know each other more. We said some jokes. One of our first jokes was, if you get into a fight, would I help? Right. And that's part of what you see is what you get, right?
Yeah.
So he was like, if I get into a fight, I don't want you help. And I'm like, well, I got brothers. I would. Like, I ain't gonna just let somebody fight him by this. I probably would. And so he was like, nah, babe, if I get into a fight, he said, either way, if the dude knock me out and then you fight him and he knocking both of us out, that's gonna make me look some type of way. And then he was like, but I used to ask these random off the wall questions just to spark discussion or conversation because I like talking. But then he was like, and then if the dude knock me out and fight you and you knock the dude out, I'ma still be looking.
It's a lose-lose, yo. It's a lose-lose, literally.
I need you to step aside. I said, how you think I'ma feel? Stay back, yo. I was like, how you think I'ma feel? You laying on the ground and I'm just sitting there watching like, babe, get up.
I ain't lost no fights, but I don't want that one to be the one I lose.
Like that.
I just don't want to be with you and the nigga knock you out. Like, I mean, the dude knock you out. I'm gonna have to help you so it won't get to that point.
That's wild, bro.
I'm gonna have to. I was like, it'll take too long to call somebody. If it's a stick on the ground, I'm gonna hit him upside the head or something.
So let me give y'all some stats, and y'all jump on these. Pause. 37% of adults say they've learned to avoid conflict because it was handled poorly in their home growing up. Only 26% of Black and Hispanic men ages 18 to 44 who experience daily anxiety or depression seek help. 1 in 3 men report that they were discouraged from showing emotions as children. Men are, watch this one. Men are 3 times more likely than women to say they feel pressure to be emotionally strong, even when struggling inside.
Wow.
And this last one, 70% of divorced men in 2022, a survey said their emotional needs were not communicated clearly or was misunderstood. 70%, bro.
I'll take it a step further. So that makes me sad for real.
Yes.
Because it's so real and it's so prevalent.
That's the reality.
And it's
sad though.
It's why we're here because so every now and then social media is good for something. I watched a clip the other day. And it was a Caucasian guy, and he was asked older, so he probably had to be 60 plus. And he said, what is it that you wish that you knew? And I'm paraphrasing a little bit. What is it you wish that women knew about men that they don't? And he got real solemn, and he was like, how challenging it is for us. And how, so listen, here's what's crazy though, right? When we even start this conversation, there are far too many women that already start side-eyeing. Here's what we know. So we're predicated on accountability. This is not about woe is us, and this is not about us versus y'all, and we need this versus what your needs are. We understand what our shortcomings and our opportunities are as men, specifically as Black men, when it pertains to fatherhood, when it pertains to finance, when it pertains to our community and so many other things. That, however, doesn't negate the fact that we're shaped and molded by our experiences and how what we've seen causes us to show up the way that we have now. That's an underlying factor. We have to move beyond that, right? I'm fortunate for my experiences, right? I got to see an experience that's very much like yours. I got to see my mom and my dad partner together in marriage and cooking and raising the children, right?
I'm thinking as you're speaking, because I'm also thinking about how good of a husband Bruce Bailey is, and his mom and dad wasn't together, but
that's
he did
the part,
some model relationships.
But that's the part. So we are shaped and molded by our experiences, and that does not mean that if how you show up now, right, is a positive impact on people, that's what you came from. We're either
please have my soda. Y'all gonna have to excuse
This
me. I
is
said
powerful
raw
right
Uncut.
now.
I'm thirsty. I need my soda.
Want water?
Can't drink.
I want my soda. Go ahead, finish talking. He'll be back. He'll be right back.
We're either. So when it comes to how we're impacted by the things that we see, I mean, edit that out. We don't even have an edit.
So ghetto.
So you got your sound on?
So ghetto.
Wait a minute. Man, pause.
You gonna equate that to the soda?
Right.
How powerful.
It was a distraction. That was the Lord, Lord thy God himself distracted.
You gonna leave it right
was
there?
from your can.
That's crazy.
So we're either, when it comes to what we see, we're either drawn or driven. Right. So for instance, when I was growing up, my pops used to sit in the basement and drink Michelob and smoke his cools, right?
Michelob be cool.
I thought my father was the coolest person on the face of the earth, though. So when I grew up, I smoked and I drank, just because, you know what I mean? It's what I saw.
Yeah.
Now, conversely, my daughter's mom grew up seeing things that made her say, I never, ever, ever want to do that in life.
Correct. I have cousins like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody was an alcoholic. They don't drink.
Yeah. So you have some people who, I talked to somebody just the other day, and she was talking about how the relationship that she's in now is reflective of what she grew up and what she saw. Versus some people would take what they saw and say, I will never allow myself to be treated like or be with someone like.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So
I'm experiencing that. I think we were having a conversation about that.
No, I'm messing.
No, we were having a conversation about that because I was just talking about her and how she views her dad.
Yeah.
Right. And it's almost, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, it seems like he could literally do no wrong in your eyes.
Anybody who beat my dad, look at him like there's no wrong that he could do in their eyes.
Well, I'm just talking about you right now.
No, I get that part, but I'm gonna let you finish and I'm gonna go back.
Yeah, because the reason I'm saying that is because that's one of the things, and you can jump in on this too, that for a man to have that type of
impact,
perception or influence on their daughters, that's big to a guy.
No doubt about it.
You know what I'm saying? So when the opposite stands in lieu of that, that can also be a part of some of the things that men typically deal with as well. So
I just wonder how that is, because now that you're thinking, I'm like, who taught me that? Because I can't say that my mother was always
that's
like,
a great
love
point.
Your dad, love
right.
your dad, love your dad, love your dad. You know
what
I really want to say, but I don't know if she was saying that versus saying, I just don't know if she was saying that. Right. So I'm just thinking about who influenced me to that point. And I just think it was just my dad and his character and who he was. He had like a quiet strength. It wasn't demanding. And I think the fact that my dad loved everybody he knew made me respect him even more. I never saw him harm anybody.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the way he viewed you had something to do with that? No, I'm saying because some fathers view their daughters like they can't do nothing wrong
like that. Because I would feel bad in some instances, but around him I felt safe. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like I didn't feel like when I first got pregnant, my mother was like, "Don't come back to this house," right? She was like, "And if you come back, you in trouble," you know. And it was like she had to exercise that tough love. And I always tell you how much I appreciate how my mother reared me, also. But my dad, he like, "Oh, it's gonna be all right. You knew that it was a bad decision, but we gonna make it past. We gonna work it out." And blah, 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 blah. It was like, let's just move on. You know, he never stopped at my downcomings versus thrust me to where he knew that I could potentially be.
That's definitely
so. It was like a buildup. It was never like, you know, you shouldn't have did this. You know how we are with our kids. This was wrong. We as kids, you know, it was wrong. He would always push the positives.
I would love to get some additional data about that and do some additional research, because I just think, just based on what you said and based on what you said, I think there's so many different facets that can alter the dynamics and that perspective or that viewpoint.
Can I just insert this? I don't want to preach, but if you think about who God is to us, God pushes the positives, right? And when you think about the advocacy of Christ and who he was,
but he corrects.
He took all our sins, even though he did no wrong. Right. He took the fault. He took the bulk of our faults. And not to mention, while he corrects,
thank you,
it is his own spirit that corrects us, not necessarily like he now, you shouldn't have did that.
Right.
Holy Ghost exists to convict us.
Right. But to that point, I think oftentimes, because and it's understandable, of course, we don't have the same level of reverence for person as we do spirit. We tend,
I don't know. Mine will go ahead. I think it depends on the relationship.
It may or may not.
Because what? Go ahead, say what you're saying.
Yeah, because ultimately,
clarify what I'm saying.
Ultimately, what I'm saying is the spirit. While the spirit corrects, he also gave an order to have someone as a covering to correct.
Right.
And sometimes we don't view the covering the same way as we view the spirit. And it causes us now to not look at me coming to you as a correction or concern, but more as a control, if that makes sense.
It does. And if we think about what 1 Corinthians 13 is about, which is love, there is nothing else greater than love, right? Nothing. Even when we promote or represent Christ, we should never point it out as if you do wrong, Christ is going to correct you, right? If anything, we should be promoting the positive, which is promoting the love of Christ, saying that regardless of what you did, Christ died so that you can be saved, right? And the more that a person falls in love, that's why it's about relationship, which is what we're talking about. But when you grow your relationship with Christ, the conviction is you convicting yourself because you feel like this person loves me so much, I don't want to hurt them. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about my dad, it wasn't at the point where he made me feel I can be better, which is how I was able to become better despite what I did, right? Whenever a child first develops, just like when we're in Christianity, we're young and dumb at that time, right? And we're just learning from life's mistakes. But the way my father supported me, he never just pointed the finger, was like, you're wrong for that, you're wrong. He might point it out. Yeah. He didn't state it. He pulled me out of that. And eventually I was just like trying to be, I guess I never wanted to disappoint him, is what I'm saying.
So I'm not disagreeing with you, right? Because what I'm hearing is approach.
Correct. That's what you're hearing.
Right. So I'm not disagreeing with you. But what I am saying is sometimes I believe there are instances where we are more focused on the approach than focus on the attempt to correct, right? And I'm saying that because we don't have, like, there are times, I'm just going to speak for me. There are times when the Holy Ghost convicts and corrects me, and I'm like, wow, really? Yeah. Like, you have to do it like that?
It's heavy-handed.
It's heavy-handed.
But it already, when you did the wrong, right? The conviction is already going to be there anyway because you're a believer. It's not like a person that's coming down saying, Bruce, what you did was wrong. The fact that you're so connected to God, you receive that conviction.
Right, but
it's not about Holy Ghost just doing it at that
But that's a great point, because again, if I'm just as connected to Victor, I shouldn't have a problem with him correcting me at any point. Right. Period.
What I'm ultimately saying is, because I was so connected to my dad, when I did wrong, he didn't have to correct me because the love that I had for him will make me feel better.
No, I got that part.
Right. So when we talk about approach, you're flipping it on the other side to saying the recipient of the correction shouldn't feel bad when a person corrects you in a different manner. But what I'm saying is the person supporting somebody that need love and support, which is what the word tells you when you see a brother overtaken in the fault, ye that are spiritual, restore such in the manner of meekness. I mean, with meekness, whatever, however the scripture go, right? Some people who are in a authoritative figure, they always think that correction is supposed to look like you shouldn't have did this, you was wrong, blah, 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 right? But that can break down the person.
I understand.
And so when you talk about you need to study it further, I'm going to just say I agree, because in mental health, you learn what correction and support should look like.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
And people honor that better.
I'm not disagreeing. And you said the perfect phrase. Mm-hmm. People honor that better.
They do.
So what I'm saying is there's a lack of honor in some situations where if I come to you and I'm your husband or you're my wife, there's a lack of honor if I can't come to you like a Pastor Mike can come to you with the same correction.
Why would you feel you need to is the problem in relationships. Let me problem. Let
me be clear. It's not that I feel I need to.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's that I believe I should be honored the same way.
No woman want to feel like their man look at them like they have to talk to him.
I get it. But again, hear what I'm saying though. Hear what I'm saying, right?
I could repeat.
If I come, but I need maybe I need to reword it, because what I'm saying is if I come to you like a Pastor Mike, mm-hmm. same articulation, mm-hmm. right? And I'm furious at this point, and I'm just saying this because he's come at me like that.
Can you give a real example of a way you would come to your woman that you're talking about? Think about use an example and talk to me in the way that you're saying. Because a lot of people don't know who Pastor Mike is or don't know how he would.
I think let me take a stab at this. Go ahead. I'm gonna put this in a nutshell. And you just tell me if I'm wrong. In an instance that you're talking about, a scenario, a pastor, right, giving reproach or correction, mm-hmm. what you're saying is that individual may be given leeway that you're not afforded.
Absolutely.
Basically,
facts.
If he says it like just real firmly, real matter of fact. I need y'all to stop playing. You're not doing what you're supposed to. Get in position and get it done.
Yeah,
right.
There's no.
I don't think you should talk to a woman like that.
I'm not. No, I'm not disagreeing with you. If I'm understanding you correctly, what you're saying is in that scenario, excuse me, that would be received, and the thought wouldn't be, "I'm a woman. You shouldn't talk to me like
facts."
That.
Facts.
I knew what he was talking about.
And and the reason I'm bringing that up is because oftentimes this is just a male's perspective, right? This
same way you were saying somebody
exactly
can be corrected at work but can't be corrected.
This is exactly what happens.
Why would you feel like you should talk to your woman?
That's not what he's saying.
I know you're not. You saying on the flip side, if Bruce was to talk to me like that, why would I give a Pastor Mike reverence, right? And if he talked to me like that, because we understand Pastor Mike, his heart, he loves us. He correcting us because he loves us. Right. God, the Bible says that God chasing whom he loves. Now you're likening it to a marital relationship with your partners, right? Asking if your husband was to talk to you like that, why can't he be reverenced the same way? Am I correct?
I think both can be true
in a sense. Yeah,
both can be true.
Right.
And I'm explaining to you why that can't be the case.
Why?
Because women, you got to think about the relationship, right? Just like, so for example, if we're talking to our children, because like a pastor has that type of influence in our life, like a parent, right? We wouldn't talk to our children, our spouses, the way we would talk to our children. So it's the same thing.
However,
you can't demean be demeaning to a woman.
And I wanted us to get to the core of this, right? Because is what you see what you get. It's easy. I know. It's easy when the perception that what we saw is negative, mm-hmm. right? So if you have two parents in the house and they smoking and it's wild and doing crack, you know that that's not a good thing. Mm-hmm. However, what if what you saw at home mm-hmm. was so peaches and cream and rosy and unicorn? Mm-hmm. Because what a lot of people will do,
that's good,
is they refuse to have disagreements in front of their children. And while I understand that,
how are they gonna
it sanitizes things. And so should you be disrespectful and putting hands? No. But what if the example that you saw, you thought was so peaches and cream, that now the man that you love, right, that God has positioned to be with you, mm-hmm. can't take a stern tone with you. He can't say like that. Come on, like come on, like young, like stop playing. You know better than
right.
me. Don't talk to me like that. And
I'm
being so. Am I? We on the same
page?
page?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Because what happens is while on what, and this is where the safe space and all this is what we talking about. Because while you saying, well, you shouldn't talk to a woman like that, well, now you make me feel less of a man because I feel like you honor this guy more than you honor me.
And I'm glad he mentioned that, because to his point, I gotta hold back some of how I feel and say, just like he did at the beginning of this show, because I'm mindful of how I'm feeling and saying could make him feel. And I never want to demasculate the man that I'm with. And so I gotta hold it in.
That's really my point.
But that's the, like, this is really good. And we always want to sort of, but this is the leaning in. This is the depth of the conversation. So I was in a relationship, and early on in the relationship, we were having a disagreement. Y'all know me. I literally cannot raise my voice. Mm-hmm. Kennedy and Chloe, my daughters, laugh because if I try to yell, my voice will crack and I will literally start. I can't talk loud. Right. I cannot. So we're having this heated discussion, and my tone absolutely changes, and it was warranted in that moment. And I never forget. She said, "Don't talk to me like that."
Who, your child?
No. The woman I was in a relationship.
Oh, a woman. Okay.
She said, "Don't talk to me like that. Mm-hmm. I grew up around that, and I can't have that. I can't tolerate that." Mm-hmm. She said, "My stepfather used to do that to my mother, and I hate it. I can't deal with it." Mm-hmm. So I had to navigate that space. I had to understand it, but to hold to my charge, something that someone who was operating in an abusive fashion, I'm a million miles away from that. So to be told I literally can't raise my voice, or I can't emphatically state that what we're doing and what we're saying isn't okay now because of what you saw. Yeah. Right. So that's an easy example. Right. But what if someone grows up in a scenario by which one of the parents is so passive that they just always let the other parent do whatever?
Listen,
that's also equally negatively impactful,
because both of those,
because that's not real world scenarios.
Well, it can be, right? Because you have to be mindful of that when you get into a relationship, because you both have two different backgrounds, right? And sometimes it's that detrimental where your feelings will be all the way hurt. But how would you manage it? Can your love overpower how you feel and allow you to be selfless in those moments?
That's the power.
Maybe not. And I read something earlier today about the power of saying no. And we probably should talk about that on our next episode, because that's good. The power to say no, right? The reason why I'm thinking about that in this space is because when we can say no to ourselves, or when we do say no to ourselves, it's two ways we can look at it, right? Sometimes people feel like if they say no to themselves, then they're not going to end up happy, right? And that's important, to make sure you care about self. Like, you have to absolutely say, while I feel like this, I'm gonna have to get this out, even if it hurts the other person's feelings, right? But then when you do that, understand once you do it, it's already out there. So if what you have to say or communicate worth you allowing that scar or stain to be on the other person, and because you got to think about stuff before you say it, because you always got to think about what's the end result. Like, how would this leave this person? How will it leave our relationship? So, it's just ways you got to stuff. But we ain't out of word, but we out of time.
Always flies by. Time flies when you have fun.
Do, man. Gee whiz.
So I'm gonna walk off right now while y'all go ahead. Get some type of closing. Go ahead and say something. Oh shoot.
Smooth, y'all get smooth.
Go ahead and say something. I'll save space. And thank y'all for having me on y'all show.
You forced us. He threatened us.
Let you come back.
She's gonna put us on the pip, bro.
She's gonna go live whether we were here or not.
Right. That's crazy.
Nah, so what I would say, because I always say we're all shaped and molded by our experiences.
Certainly.
But what we've seen and who we've been doesn't have to be what we continue to do.
Facts.
And genuinely loving each other out loud should cause us to lean in, first of all, right? Because we always leave the folks with something. These things are easy to say, but not always easy to do, especially for men. And you're talking about such space. And for some men, saying express yourself is like saying, I want you to talk Russian or Arabic,
man,
when they don't know how, right? And so what we do always talk about, and I'll let you jump in, and this is that if you don't know how, it's okay. But you don't have to continue in, right? And so we talk about therapy being a powerfully profound tool to equip us with the tools that you need to really show up for the person that you say that you love. So quick plug for that. You want to say anything to close us out, bro?
Yeah. So on that note, real quick, because what we often talk about is this emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I actually defined it, and I want to leave you all with this because I want you to really
hold up. You hit me with this. Why are you doing that with your voice?
Powerful.
You being super sexy tonight. you feeling it?
My wife been telling me I look good all day, so I'm just trying to keep it going. The evening is everybody. No, but I want you guys to really think about this emotional intelligence, because we hear a lot of people say it, bro.
Yeah.
A lot of people say I'm emotionally intelligent, especially no finger pointing, but especially ladies.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And they kind of look at men like less. Even myself, I looked at us like as less being emotional intelligent.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Absolutely.
Right. But here's this. Watch this. And you guys ask yourself this question. Be honest with yourself when determining whether or not you feel you're emotionally intelligent. Okay. It's the ability to recognize, to understand, to manage, and to use emotions, both your own and others, in a healthy and constructive way.
I love that. I'm gonna leave our people with a question, right? And so much of this is about communication. It's about intentionally talking through and talking to. I heard this. It was Sarah Jakes Roberts that asked this question, right? And so, conversation for the person that you love. What is the most traumatic thing that ever happened to you?
I had it in my notes, bro. That's crazy.
And how does it show up in your life today?
Yeah.
Right. Wow. Because is what you see what you get. And so what is the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to you? And how does it show up in your life today?
And when you recognize it, deal with it.
Facts.
Because that's where the real strength.
Or to your point, get some help dealing with it, because we don't
help dealing with
how, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Victor Vaughn, the executive producer that's now off screen, goes by the name of, go ahead, yell it out, man.
Coach Princess T.
Why you holding me in the chain when you do that?
She is off the hook, bro.
The gentleman sitting to my right goes by
Bruce Bailey, choir boy. Let's do it.
We have been the King's Cutting Board. Listen, we never take it for granted when you choose to give us your time, your energy, and join us in this space. We love you for it. Listen, lean in, love each other out loud. Be good.
Absolutely.
To each other. Life is too short to do anything different. We will see you 2 Thursdays from now.
Nah, I think we should come right back next Thursday, man. Yeah, and then start every other Thursday.
You heard what the man said, man.
That's what I think, but I just gotta look. So we'll talk. I don't want no smoke, man.
We'll see who makes it. It's gonna be one of y'all next. I'm like, nah, you like, come on, let's get it.
We'll see y'all soon. We love and appreciate y'all. We gotta change our ending. We gotta change our ending, bro.
You don't think? You think so?
I do. So
I still want peace and
we
want peace and a piece. I'm trying to tell you right now. You know your man well, boo.
Because what we used to say is all we want.
That's definitely not all.
Truth be told, we want more than that. However,
I agree with that.
We good.
Last week said, what else is there other than peace and a piece?
Yeah.
Like everything.
I don't know. I'm gonna think. Yeah, I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna have to think about it.
Please be clear. Peace makes the world a better place to be.
A piece and a piece.
The peace makes.
You got them. Hey, what else you need?
I will take a piece over the piece many days.
See what I'm saying? That's crazy.
Healthy tension.
Hey, that's crazy.
So you'll be in a hostile relationship and get a good piece.
She loved me again afterwards.
That's temporal.
I think so though.
I'm just saying. Facts.
It'll last long, man. It'll last long.
Off the tracks right
all the way. Get us out of here, bro.
Y'all be good to each other. We love and appreciate y'all. Thank you for joining. Please remember to say like, love, follow, and share. And so while it's not all that we want, we definitely appreciate peace.
And a piece.
And a piece.
Peace.
Later, y'all.